Hey, and welcome to NUFC Talk. You're here with Glenn, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend Jan. You alright, mate?
I am very good, mate. Yes, very well.
So, thanks for joining us. Before you go any further, take a second to press subscribe. We're looking to do, sorry for the guys who are downloading us on the podcast, but we're not here on YouTube. We're looking to do some live broadcasts, some live streams, some live watch-alongs.
Yeah.
And we're going to get up that 50 mark, so even if you just feel sorry for us, smash the subscribe button. But obviously we'd love you to come along and watch the games with us and also get involved with the chat and the banter that is happening.
Yeah.
We are on Twitter, so you can catch the pod channel on NUFC Talk. You can get myself, it's Glenn _NUFC, and
Yanis NUFC.
You took a while to think about that, mate.
I always think it's NUFC Yanis for some reason, but it's not. It's Yanis NUFC.
Certain.
Yeah, and on TikTok.
Go for it.
At
NUFC Talk.
Pod maybe at NUFC Talk.
You'll find us. NUFC Talk.
I'll put it in the comments on YouTube.
Yeah, cool. So we've got a lot to talk about this week. We've got the two games. We've got Southampton and Chelsea, where we're looking forward to looking ahead to Everton, I should say. So yeah. Let's get started, mate. This week, one of the points I wanted to bring up, which we talked about on Twitter, and I know I engaged with a few people who follow us, is this Jim White come ahead and said that Newcastle next season need to be finishing top 4. That's what it hit this point straight on because it really agitated me. I wanted to talk about it, and there's no Newcastle fan has said we expect to be top 4 next. I even put a poll on Twitter, and it was at 2% of Newcastle fans said that they were expecting top 4 finish next season, and the other 98% were all 4 to 8 or 8 to 12.
What do you think?
Me personally, I would say 4 to 8, leaning towards 6th, 7th, 8th. I think that would be a realistic target and a great finish for us. What about you?
Yeah, I think I voted on that and they said the same thing.
Oh, did you? Thanks, man.
No retweets though. The comments of Jim White is a couple of people I know have just stopped listening to Talksport because there's a lot of antagonising certain fans because they'll all get a rise out of Arsenal fans, they'll all get a rise out of Newcastle fans. So it's a bit of
point proven here.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit of clickbait. You put something on there, it's very controversial, and then people click on it, and then people call in and shout and nah, Eddie Howe's amazing. We'll win the league. So I don't know. I actually hate Talksport in a sense because I actually really like a lot of Talksport, but I do find myself having to be like, oh God, why? There's nobody thinks like that. But it's just, I think it's just a throwaway comment, isn't it? I think he was put down by
Simon Jordan
of all people.
Of all people.
Yeah, defended Newcastle fans saying you're putting in unrealistic expectations and pressure on from outside that isn't really there from the fans. So
one person who talks about who actually defends Newcastle a lot is Trevor Sinclair.
I know, yeah.
Surprised, no? But I like him as a pundit of this season. Like he's really, I don't know if it's because he's the only one that seems to defend Newcastle, but
he not only did he defend Newcastle, but he also called out the previous manager for not being up to the task. Mm-hmm. He was one of the few people that said he's not doing a good enough job. So anyway.
All right, man. Well, let's look ahead let's look back at the week. So look ahead to Southampton. Yeah, it's been a busy week. So last week on the channel we said that my prediction was we were going to rotate some teams.
Yeah.
Because we had the Southampton game Thursday, we had Chelsea Sunday, and we've got Everton coming up in a few days' time on Thursday as well. We're recording this on Monday evening or Monday night.
Tuesday morning.
Heading to the early hours. I thought that would be putting out a strong team against Southampton, resting a few players for Chelsea, and then Everton going for it again. So I think if we took 6 points from that.
From the 3, that would be
from the 3.
I'd absolutely taken that. I think for the Southampton game, I was in the school of thought of just take every game as it comes. I think Hand was forced to touch with Joe Linton being sidelined, which forced Bruno into the starting lineup. Maybe I don't know whether it probably would have gotten a start on this run of games, but maybe was Eddie Howe's hand forced?
Well, for Southampton?
Yeah, potentially, yeah. because you probably would have thought we were all saying that you could expect Joelinton to play the lot of the games, but obviously had this sort of, is it groin? I think is it a bit of a groin niggle. So,
we thought he'd be the one that the team would rotate kind of around him.
Yeah, because he's
isn't that a bad comment? Newcastle fans now saying we need to rotate the team around Joelinton.
I know he brings so much energy, and I just don't know if Willock has like the legs for that many games, and that he put some graft in, won't he? But so Southampton, going back to that, don't want to sort of go on this too much because it was obviously the game before, but massive win for Newcastle. That I don't even think we win that game in the start of Eddie Howe's couple of, in these maybe his first sort of 5, 6, 7 games. I think if we go 1-0 down, it's only these last couple of games where he's really got the squad believing that they can win games.
Before we go into the actual game, can we talk about Ralph's tears?
So he said he complained pre-January when the match was under the rules signed off by his club and 19 other members of the Premier League signed off what the COVID rules should be, and then he complained when Newcastle implemented said rules by having a game called off because of a lack of players due to a couple of cases of COVID and unavailable players, whatever.
Yeah. So if anyone's unsure what we're talking about, Ralph basically bitched and moaned and said that they're playing a completely different team now. We shouldn't be able to play players that.
So he said we shouldn't play them back then. This time he didn't so much as say we shouldn't have them. He said it's strange preparing for it. I'm like, no, it's not strange. It's not. Transfer windows happen.
You do it twice a week or once a week. Prepare for a game.
And it's not the same team ever. It's always a different team.
It's funny. We played Leeds last week and we played Man City.
It's true that his comments were a bit ridiculous. I think he was getting his little excuses in early doors.
But I don't think that's good for your team. I think he's almost give the players an excuse before the game's even kicked off. And I mentioned to this on our other pod that we do, which is a full Premier League one called the Dad FC pod, where this is almost like remind me of Keegan-esque, like back in that title race with Fergus, where Keegan publicly lost his head.
Yeah.
And it's almost like Ralph. I know it's a completely different size scenario, but publicly losing your head passes on to the players, though, doesn't it? Like if your players thinking, like, why is the manager panicking for?
I think Ralph comes across as somebody who wears his heart on his sleeve very much. Wasn't he crying when he got appointed Anfield that time?
He's not the type of man to cry and just up drawing a game or winning a game or whatever it was.
I'm sure it was a draw, 1-1 draw. Someone at Anfield started crying. But so I think he's got a bit of that about him in terms of heart on the sleeve. But yeah, I think the comments are a bit daft. I tell you what, I did like the bit of sort of shithousery was the DJ at half time. Was playing like Dirty Money Talks.
Can't buy me loan.
Yeah.
That was crap.
I was like, yeah, I'll take that. It's a good bit of banter, that. But you can play all your songs. Newcastle went in there, got 3 points. Yeah. I know what I really liked about it is Chris Wood got his first goal. And I'm sure it was a target corner that was headed back by Dan Burn and then backheel in by Bruno.
But then in return, shithousery from the Newcastle admin saying that 4 Newcastle signs had huge in-ball impacts. Yeah. So I had a picture of target crossing, Dan Burn heading it, the Bruno backheel, and then the Chris Wood header. Like, that's straight back at yourself.
Yeah, I like that. I guess we were going to brush over this game a little bit because I took more Chelsea, but Shelvey were ball for Chris Wood's header.
Yeah.
That's vintage. That's vintage, like Chris Wood, that as well, isn't it? That's what you signed Chris Wood for.
And also Shelvey, that's classic.
Everything. The whole thing. The ball goes wide. It goes out wide first of all. Is it Murphy or Fraser?
Let me stop you there before we go into the goal, because one important thing which Newcastle fans are not used to, where we're starting to get used to, is Eddie Howe came out after the game and mentioned the T word, tactics. Yeah,
tactics.
Because Southampton obviously went ahead first, which was, they were probably the better team at the start. I would say they deserved the goal at the run of play that they were having.
Yeah.
And then Eddie Howe made a change where he was asked what did you change, and it's funny, he actually described them as 6 players. So he just described Shelby as a 6. So they were holding one with Bruno and Willock.
Yeah.
So it's 2 games ago now. Bruno and Willock just ahead of him. But he said that we wanted to. It wasn't working for the player, so we played with 2 6s.
Yeah.
So he obviously
got Bruno back deeper, didn't he?
Yes, he went that 2-1 and the 3. So it's funny that he actually describes the whole mid as a 6. But either way, it was just nice for him to come out, admit that he got it wrong, make a change in game.
Yeah.
And it was obviously for a positive impact.
Yeah, I think there's a few things you have to have. Obviously, players that can be tactically adept and players that can play slightly different rules. And clearly, Bruno has got legs about him where he can play. He can do most of similar to what Joe Linton could do physically. He's not the same kind of specimen, of course, but he can do a lot of in terms of the legs. But he also is quite happy sitting deep and collecting the ball, and so he doesn't mind that either. So I think that obviously gives him. It does give you a bit of tactical flexibility because my thought is if we integrating Bruno to start in this side, you're playing 2 deep players and maybe kind of 4 ahead of them in terms of Shelby and maybe Bruno, or he is going to be the success at the Shelby shirt and he's going to be the deeper role.
Yeah.
But he played him slightly further forward when he first started him at Southampton. He played him in the more the Willock, Joe Linton mould of like kind of all bustling number 8. Yeah.
So if he has a 6, he has an 8. Where's he play? 7s, I know.
If you've got 2 6s, you only need 7. But yeah, getting into the goal, proper bit of wing play. Matt Target again, like he's overlap and run. It's not an overlap where it takes anybody out. Makes space for anybody, but the fact he makes it overlap and run, ball gets played about a little bit. That does create a little bit of space where Shelby now has more time on the ball because Target's gone round.
Yeah.
A winger and create that bit of space, and then when he gives Shelby time in the ball, he has got. I was going to say wonderful right foot, but you don't have a wonderful right foot for some reason. You've only got a wonderful left foot, haven't you? Have you noticed that? Players have a wonderful left foot, but never a wonderful right foot.
Just a right foot.
He's got a right foot. He's got a good right foot. Beck's never had a wonderful right foot.
Well, do you have a peach for right foot?
Might have a peach, yeah, but have you noticed that though? Yeah, you only have a wonderful left foot.
I can't say I've took note of it, but I will.
Next time, I'll tell you, you'll never hear anybody have a wonderful right foot, but if you would, it would be Shelby.
What do you call your right foot? Comments below.
So, and then obviously Chris Wood gets on the end of it. He's just been absolutely pining for that.
Yeah.
Good goal for him.
Yeah, there was the video that went on Twitter afterwards of Chris Wood going back into the change room, and you could hear all like the players cheering from. So it just shows like there's that squad togetherness. It's absolutely class. And also, actually no, I'm jumping ahead. Let's go to the Bruno goal next.
Well, before we get that, bit of luck because Che Adams absolutely smashing the bar, which would have gone back to 2-1, I think, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And they're a decent side, by the way, Southampton. That was actually a brilliant result. That.
Do you know a stat I came across last week for our other pod, which shocked us? Chance per minute, Southampton second in the league for chances created.
Really?
Yeah, after it's either City or Liverpool's first, Southampton was second for chances created per minute. Madness! I didn't see that one coming at all.
It depends how vague you think a chance. Like what is it? What is a chance? I guess because surely they can't be that. I mean, they've had Shane Long scored one goal in about 40 years, haven't they? So maybe they're all falling to Shane Long. But then obviously let's get into Bruno.
Yeah, class.
Yeah,
absolutely class. Corner came over, big Dan Burn gets up for his header.
Also, by the way, another thing, Big Dan Burn. I love the fact he's no longer called Dan Burn. He's only called Big Dan Burn.
I love the abbreviation on Twitter. Now is even BDB.
I know.
When I first read it for a second, I'm like, what? Who's that? And I was like, Big Dan Burn. And now it's like just all over Twitter, like we refer to him as Big Dan Burn.
Yeah, I do like that.
Can you think of another player that has become such a Newcastle legend in the space of 5 games? Like he's almost wrote himself into folklore just in the last 5 games alone.
Oh yeah, I don't want to jump ahead in the Chelsea game, but when he was cutting about with blood on each side of his face, I was like, yeah. When he was winning everything from corners, I was like, yeah. he's a player.
Yeah.
He deserves big Dan Burn.
Yeah.
He's never Dan Burn from me ever again. He's big Dan Burn. So yeah, he headers it back, and then a bit of improvisation.
That's the one.
If I can get my words out. Yeah, class, absolute class.
The celebration going to the crowd, because like you see the South American, they have that sort of flair about them. They obviously really religious, and just see that sort of calm persona. Like I'm sure I've read a report like he doesn't drink. He's really disciplined. Like he wears his shirt number for his dad's taxi. Like
Yeah.
You see a calm character. You always just see him like smiling about. You can imagine like going to Sunday school and all that jazz. But when he scores a goal, you can just see the
he goes mad. He goes mad.
Yeah, and that was good to see. Like how
Yeah.
much he wanted it, how much he meant it. He hasn't come here for the money though. I'm sure 120 bags a week is definitely helping.
He's certainly not saying no, don't pay me yet.
Yeah. Hey, I'm on 30 grand a week at League, and just give us 31. I'll be on the next plane. 120. But yeah, point being, he's obviously here because he wants to do stuff.
Yeah, project and going places. And that. I was thinking as well, if he can develop and get better, obviously we will see the best out of him in the coming games and over the next year or whatever. But if he can also develop and just better his game, he could be like an absolute star, couldn't he?
He's touting his mate to come and play as well, isn't he? He plays in
the Brazilian boy.
Yeah,
isn't he a six? Isn't he? He's a defensive midfielder as well, isn't he?
One of all these sixes from the boys.
Sorry, John Joe. Good ball, mate, but you're out. But yeah, class result that. And yeah, just all round. I don't think we get that result in even the sort of 6-7 games ago. Which is good because we would have lost it back in January, whatever it was.
Yeah, so. I like that. Southampton had a chance around the 89th, 90th minute. There was a Dubravka save, which was great, and that was a great save in itself. But there was another opportunity where Willock came back, and I don't know where he came. Obviously, he came from the other side of the pitch. but you know where you don't expect him to be the person putting that save and challenging. And then there's a picture of, I think it was Big Dan Burn and Longstaff celebrating with him. Yeah. And if you saw it, you'd think you'd scored a goal unless you knew the game itself. But it just shows you the team spirit again. How everyone's in it to celebrate and blocks together. Absolutely class. Just seeing players playing for the shirt.
I absolutely love watching. I love the fact that over last couple of years, the defender celebrating stuff has become a thing.
Yeah,
I love it, mate. I really do. I absolutely love it when you see somebody like fist bumping and sort of jumping at each other when somebody else heads out, gets on the end of a corner, something heads out for and all the defenders celebrate. I like that because you must have to love not conceding.
It's almost come from the American, the NFL and
the sack
basketball somebody. And when you smash them on the line, I'm waiting for Dan Burn to start headbutting players
To be fair, it's interesting that
Big Dan Burn.
Big Dan Burn.
Headbutt the top of the head, wouldn't you?
He'd be coming down high. It's interesting that they are both the Newcastle fans as well, or two of the Newcastle fans within the squad. Longstaff's obviously a Newcastle fan, and so is Big Dan Burn. So, but all in all, yeah, big result that. And if it weren't safe before, then that put us 10 points ahead of chasing other relegation zone. So that was massive. And then we go into Chelsea game. So it was a bit. Before we get to Chelsea game, that put us on the most points in 7 games since 2004-05.
Yeah.
And the best unbeaten run since 2011.
Class.
Over a decade.
Absolutely class.
For a team that was full of championship players just 4 months ago.
You know you're doing well when you start getting shit from all the other fans and pundits, all the other fans on social media, all the other pundits as well.
Yeah.
When social media channels are coming at you.
I think there's 2 elements of that. I think there is an element that you're doing well and you're beating teams and you pick the points, so you're always going to get a bit of shit. But I think the main thing is it's shit mixed with a bit of fear of, because if you're a fan of another club, see if you're a fan of Spurs, you think, like, you just know that in 3 years' time, that top 4 scrap is even harder.
Or in 4 years' time, you know we're just going to be going.
Yeah,
We'll have you. Oh,
well, that's
potential. Oh, you can come and sit on our bench.
like that. Well, that's going to, and that is probably going to be the case. Like, and that's not that I think we'll buy in that way. I think they're going to do it in a quite a conservative way to buy players. But I do, yeah, I think if you're Arsenal, Spurs, West Ham, Wolves,
Man United.
Man United are always going to have the buying power.
But there was a lot of talk of Man United didn't loan us Lingard.
Yeah.
They put like a ridiculous fee in, what was it, like £12 million? Like it was £1 million a game we'd have to pay to have Lingard.
Yeah.
Lingard wanted to come, by all reports, which no one denied.
Mm-hmm.
But some reports were coming out of United that they could see us being competition in 3-4 years' time. So if we went down,
just staves it off for another season or two.
2 seasons, isn't it?
Yeah.
2-3 seasons, because you have to come back up, rebuild. So
which I actually think is their scouts had seen the potential in Joe Willock and Joe Linton and thought, well, Lingard's not getting a game anyway, so
I thought Big Dan Burns on his way up the A1, he's come back home.
Well, I just thought, look, when you got Joe Linton there, who's basically Yaya Toure in disguise, there's no chance that Lingard's getting a game. Yeah. So, but no, yeah, I think that there is a little bit of that, and the clubs are like in it for themselves, absolutely. So we are getting a little bit more stick now than we used to. No one give a shit when Mike Ashley wasn't spending nothing for 14 years and we're languishing. Like, no one seemed to care, and suddenly a little bit of cash money spent, and everyone's like freaking out about it.
We had no money. Everyone told us to shut up, stop complaining. We have some money. Everyone tells us to shut up anyway. Like,
yeah.
But I suppose it's all part of the part. Like, game, if you're watching us now and you're Newcastle fans, like, drop a comment what your thoughts are. If you're not a Newcastle fan, drop us a fucking comment and tell us what you're thinking as well, because we're used to getting grief off you anyway, so it doesn't matter if we win or lose, we get grief, but we're used to it. We've had Ashley for 14 years, so there's probably nothing you can say that's going to piss us off anymore.
What about the Chelsea game then? Because do you think this is rotation, or do you think this is because there was
you go first. Go on.
So Joe Linton, obviously he clearly has a knock because he didn't. I think he was close, but didn't get through his fitness test. Mm-hmm. And then there was Joe Willock, Shelvey, who both had illnesses the day before, and they had to change the game plan, and we had 2 centre midfield to pick from. And obviously Fraser was rested, and Almiron came in. I was like, because before I heard those comments about the illness, I was thinking, nah, he's just rested them for this game, but. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Do you think there must have been a bit of illness? Because
my thought, and if anyone's listening, like me and Jan don't talk about the games beforehand because we try to keep these as
spontaneous,
natural as possible. We actually have to stop each other talking about sometimes. Save it for the pod, save it till we press record. So I was the same. I was like, can our other 2 centre mids both have picked up an illness like the day before? I don't know, so I wasn't sure who was using it as an excuse for rotation, but in Eddie we trust, and he picked a great team. Because if you look at the midfield, our biggest change, revival, whatever the term is that you want to use, is Joe Linton, Joe Willock and John Joe Shelby have been immense in the centre. Yeah. So for us to bring in Bruno and Longstaff, who have only made cameo roles off the bench, Bruno...
Longstaff started the Man United game and played well.
Yeah, so, but after the transfers, hasn't really seen too much.
Yeah.
Southampton, Bruno hasn't really had much except Southampton.
And to be fair, Longstaff probably would have played more minutes if it wasn't for Joe Linton's revival as like a midfield superstar. So
when I saw the starting lineup, I thought I was pretty surprised. But then I did say, if anyone who's listened to the last few episodes, I predicted that we would rest a bunch of players. So whether it's resting, whether it's through injury, whatever, I was kind of expecting a different lineup. What caught me off guard was the change of formation.
Yeah.
I can see why he's done it. The extra centre half. I thought
Is he just matching Tuchel up, do you think? Is that you? Because Tuchel usually plays at 3 at the back, doesn't he?
Yeah, the bit that surprised me as well is once the game kicked off was like how aggressive we switched from a 5-4-1 when we were in defence to a 3-4-3.
Yeah.
Whereas I think if that's Bruce the olden days, it would have been still 5-4-1 long ball and maybe have an odd one from midfield running up to see if 2 or 3 can cause some bother. But I think they've obviously drilled that into when we're defending, this is the structure. When we're attacking, this is who goes forward. And then 3 centre halves, like.
Yeah, I think for me the press was and it not just the press, but how high up the pitch we were.
Yeah,
like there was only one or two times that they got out the press, Chelsea, but when it popped into Werner and Havertz, they didn't really get anything out of Dan Burn, Lascelles, or Big Dan Burn, Lascelles, or Shaw.
Yeah.
They didn't get anything out of them. Or they got the foul and got up the pitch, but they really struggled to get out the press. But we were so high, and do you know what it was as well? Our fullbacks were really high without the ball. Like sometimes you'd be watching the game and the press would be kind of the ball's moving across the pitch and the press is moving with it, and you think who's next? It's going to have to be like Manquillo, and there's Manquillo like who's like
as Dubravka pushing Kante.
So that was the thing I found like, which is really exciting in a sense that that's how we want to. Everyone wants to play football now. No one wants to play this low block or or just sort of sitting deep, as it used to be called, but it's now a low block. But no one wants to play that. Like, it's because it's boring to watch. But
so my notes from the first half of the first 25 minutes especially was the formation 3-4-3, 5-4-1. How we switched really well. I even tweeted after about 15 minutes of the game where if this tactics is going to work, the fullbacks have to be on point.
Yeah.
And I had full faith in Kraft. Sorry, not Kraft. I had full faith in Target doing it. Fullback Manquillo, I thought he did a great job. I don't think Kraft would have been able to perform that.
Nah, Manquillo's a better player. I'm delighted Manquillo came back in. He's solid, Manquillo.
That was good. Lascelles worried me coming back in. I think you can see the difference in play from Shard and Big Dan Burn. I think he was protected really well amongst them two. And Lascelles, I'm not his biggest fan. If you've listened to our other pod before, we're both not his biggest fan. I thought he was average, which for Lascelles is pretty good.
The difference though, and I tweeted this I think mid-game, the difference in watching Dan Burn and Shaw in possession, they will happily, Big Dan Burn or Shaw will happily like push the ball into midfield.
Yeah.
They'll play the challenge and pass into whether it be Shelby or Bruno or whoever it is. They'll happily do that, and both of them will happily carry the ball a little bit.
Yeah.
They're both comfortable with the ball. The cells isn't the same, and it's now watching us play football again and actually play football. It's noticeable the difference.
He looks a bit panicky when he has the ball, doesn't he?
He's always looked panicky when he's had the ball, but now it's really because previously a lot of it was just hump it up the line and then we'll just try and recycle the ball. But now that we don't play that anymore and we try to keep it, it really does highlight the deficiencies in Lascelles' game with the ball at his feet. Now he's in a team that wants to pass the ball. He suddenly looks...
I'd be very surprised, and again, Newcastle fans, let us know in the comments. I'd be very surprised if we see much of Lascelles next season. I'd like to think we'd get maybe another centre-half in there to be back up to Shaw and Burn.
There'll be another centre-half that might even probably push Shaw aside, even though I'm a fan of Shaw, but I'm getting ahead of ourselves, I guess, there. But I'd be surprised if we see Lascelles much this season unless we play in 3 at the back.
Yeah.
And it's because...
Is Fernandez, is he still injured?
Yeah, he's had an illness again. Might be the same illness. I think he was ill again. But
maybe we cut off our young ones.
But then, so he punted the ball a couple of times in the first 20 minutes, giving away 2 fouls that Burn and Shaw hadn't been doing. It's more like cynical fouls that they do.
The first one came within about the first 60 seconds. Or was it Havertz or Werner he caught on the halfway line?
Werner, I think, wasn't it?
He's going nowhere. He's got his back to goal and he's on the halfway line, and he just clouts him. It was almost like his elbow to his neck, shoulder. Where he could have even got a yellow card if that wasn't in the first minute. It's probably a yellow card.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh God, come on, mate, like you haven't played for however many games because you do stupid shit like this, where you just like foul someone in the halfway line, face the wrong way for no reason, which gives them. And this is what got Newcastle into so much trouble the first half of the season when we couldn't defend, was we give away stupid balls which we just like launched into our box where we couldn't defend.
Yeah.
We weren't organised, etc.
I think that there's glaring deficiencies in his game. The drop off of Lascelles is sad in a sense that he looked great like 4 seasons ago, didn't he? He was quicker then. He'd get tackles timed really well, but now he just looks like he's heavy, he's cumbersome, Do you
think he's playing with a lot of pressure because he knows he's been getting a lot of crap off Newcastle fans? Because you remember 4 years ago when we jumped back up in between seasons, there was even talks saying he could be like
England,
future England.
Yeah, it was a run to the World Cup. And there was talk of because he looked very good, didn't he? Was it Rafa's first season in the Premier League again? Was that when it was?
I'm trying to think back to exactly when it was, but there was a season where he looked great.
I was one of the people that was saying like, is he not in with a shout for the squad? But nah, he just with the ball at his feet. That's where he really shows he's like deficient. In like I say,
pretty bad. Ball at foot. It's football.
But that's what it is. It hasn't been highlighted quite as much because of the fact that we've been playing this kind of long ball way and this like lack of possession. Like we don't really have the ball that often. We haven't had it that often, but now we're looking to dominate the ball and get on it and have possession in our favour.
That's quite bizarre, isn't it? Like we've started to score goals and win games when we have the ball.
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Like that's how you win football games, by having the ball.
Maybe we should have some more of that football.
Yeah, that football thing.
Should we have more of that football?
Because you can't score goals when the other team has it, or when you just park on the edge of your 18-yard box.
I think Eddie Howe's like got one of those flip charts, and he's like, "This is the ball. We want this."
Yeah.
And players like, "Wait, what? We want that?" But yeah. So I think his days are numbered. He certainly won't be wearing the armband. I wouldn't imagine next season. I think at the end of the season, Eddie Howe makes a change.
I think there's not going to be many games where we revert back to the 5 at the back.
Yeah,
I think he's got his formation.
Well, you say that, but we've still got Liverpool, Man City,
but
to play towards the end of the season. Arsenal to play again, I think.
I don't have as many back-to-back games that tight. There'll be somewhere we have like two games a week, but we had a ridiculous run. We've got like a break now where Eddie's on about taking the team away for some
R&R.
Some R&R and some hot country for some hot
Wonder where they go.
Yeah.
Wonder where they're headed.
Some hot weather training. Don't think it'll be Scotland. So from that, I can't see him play much. I think Shelby will have the armband. Trippier, I don't think we're going to see much of him this season. No. Maybe towards the back end for the last couple of games or whatever. So I think you'll see Shelby maybe having most of the armband for the rest of this year, and next year, as long as Trippier's fit, which it's a bit of a freak injury, hopefully he'll be club captain next year, I thought.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, I would think. Yeah.
I think Lascelles probably also expecting it as well.
Yeah, he's not good enough.
If he sat on the bench, you know.
Do you know what the thing is? There won't be many Premier League shooters for him, except like the Grand Hanleys of the world that go like Norwich or something. You know. Yeah. He'll probably be very, very good at a top tier Championship side, or wouldn't look at us sort in a bottom tier Premier League side as we are.
Mm-hmm. So maybe the clubs that are coming up next season could look at him.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's leave ourselves alone. Let's go on to what happened next. So there was the Havertz elbow on Dan Burn, which Big Dan Burn. Sorry, I think it was the other way around. This is a red all day long. I don't even think the referee would have got involved. I think the police would have come on. It would have been assault. Big Dan Burn would have been carted off straight to the cells. And the fact that he had a lump on his head that was bleeding, the ref, I don't know, the VAR, for me, that's a red card.
See, I'm always a little bit dubious to say it's definitely a red card with these kind of things, because you do have to jump with your arms, like you jump with your legs, I guess, but you
jump with your arms.
But you use your arms for leverage, don't you? So you got to use your arms for leverage. So I think these things are always going to happen. So I'm in the camp of I've seen these given,
Yeah.
and I wasn't like that's a definite red, but if it was a red, I'd have been like yeah. And if it was the other way around and I was a Newcastle, if I was a Chelsea fan, and I was sat there and Havertz was sent off, I'd have been like yeah, he's caught him there because the only real thing is. It's not malicious. I don't think there's real intent. I don't think there's intent. I think it's not malicious. There's not excessive use of force. The only thing that comes in is he endangering an opponent? And splitting up on somebody's head is probably endangering an opponent. So that's where.
So I was going to say, like, if you see these replays where, with the Premier League, there's so much play acting where someone's fingers, like, they jump up the header and the fingers, like, brushes the top of the hair, like, they go down like they've been hit by a sniper. And whereas Dan Burns had an elbow, Big Dan Burns, he's had a proper elbow to his head. He has an egg, it's bleeding. So you don't need much more evidence than like he's properly caught the guy.
Yeah.
So if it's a brush, if he's just caught like maybe at a glance, he hasn't hurt him that much. Then fair enough, it's yellow, but he has injured the player.
So therefore, it is injuring an opponent. So therefore,
yeah. If it was the other way around, like literally Dan Burn would have knocked the guy clean out. That's a red card all day long.
Yeah.
So because you've got to take into the force as well. It's like if you tackle someone and you take the ball and it's not too much force, you get possession. Whereas if you use excessive force, clean the fella out, it's a red card.
Or even intent. If you don't catch somebody but you go in and intend to nail them. So
whether Havertz meant it or not, he's used enough force to split someone's head. Not like a gusher, but like he's cracked him open and left him egg with some blood. So that's why, based on the force and the way he's caught him, I think it should be red. And
you're like definite red.
Yeah.
And if all the way around, if that's Joe Willock jumping up against Christensen,
I understand it's a red.
You'd still be saying yeah, it's a red.
Yeah. If he's brushed him, hasn't cut him, then it's a yellow. But you got to look at the evidence. What's happened off the back of that one?
Yeah. No. That's the only argument I really see to be the massive red camp is to be like. He's endangered an opponent. You can be sent off for an endangering opponent, and to hit somebody in the temple with your elbow and make them bleed from their elbow. That is enough. Yeah. So no, I say that. I think from my point of view, I just think you've seen them given, you've seen them haven't. So I'm not like desperate for it to be red.
Okay, let us know in the comments below. Am I right or is Giannis wrong? Which one do you think?
Then I guess what are we going to next? Really, the sort of the pen. Jump straight to the pen.
Yeah, because I think for the rest of the first half, Newcastle defended well. Wasn't a huge amount of things from happening, which jumps to mind. And then you got to the pen, which was just after the second half, and
this was different for me. By the way, this I was like. Astonished, like gobsmacked, like genuinely couldn't believe that wasn't given, to the point where when I saw it real time, first of all I thought that's a pen. He's all over him, that's a pen. So when I saw the replay, he's holding his shirt, his shirt's outside the box when he's first doing it, but you're allowed to keep running, and then he has two nibbles at him with his like left leg, Shalabar going across Murphy, and then he's got his shirt and he doesn't get the ball. So when he went down, it went to VAR. I was like, in my head, I stopped thinking about it being given because I was like, well, that's definitely a penalty. To the point where I didn't even think of it anymore. All I thought of was, who takes penalties for Newcastle when Wilson's not playing? That's all I thought. I was like, oh, it's going to be Shelby. Wonder if Chris Wood may take. That's all my brain went to. And then when it wasn't given, I was perplexed. I couldn't believe it. That is a stonewall of all stonewall penalties.
So. I was watching the game in the kitchen living room, dining room bit, and my wife and Jack was in the other part, and it went live time. I was like, pen, and then when I saw the replay, I was like, yes, get in. And then she said, what's happening? I was like, she even says, they scored a goal. I was like, nah, but this is going to penalty because I did celebrate because once I saw the slow replay, I was like. When VAR says that, it's a stonewall penalty.
Yeah.
I've watched football for 30 years. And yes, the rules change, contact rules change. But I worry about our ability to run podcasts, whether it's a Premier League one or whether it's this Newcastle one. If we can both watch that, or even just me alone, if I can watch that, I can't understand how that is not a penalty.
Yeah.
He doesn't touch the ball.
No.
He's dragging his shirt. There's like 2 kicks at him.
Two nibbles in, yeah.
Absolutely no. I'd love, and I think I mentioned this might be on the other pod or maybe even this one a few weeks ago. I think because there's so much involved in games now, it's the Premier League's the most watched league in the world.
Yeah.
Fact. They should take a leaf from rugby's book and they should mic up the referees to VAR. So if there's ever a decision which, if anyone watches rugby, the referee is mic'd up to the TMO.
Yeah.
So you can hear the conversation, and there's a certain line of questions they have to ask depending on what's happened. Red cards is a big one in rugby. This should be the same one. Is it excessive force? Is there
intent? Goals
so
opportunity.
there's literally like a spreadsheet. Yes, no, and you get to either a penalty or no penalty or yellow card, red card.
Yeah.
That should be the same thing. Like, has he touched the ball? No.
Yeah.
Has he pulled the shirt? Yes.
Yeah.
Has he kicked the player? Yes. Has the player lost control and fell on the floor? Yes. Okay.
It's some of the like stuff I heard on on Talk Sport, and some of the stuff I'd seen on was it Sky Sport? I think I was watching earlier on today. Some of the people are saying like, oh yeah, well he's throwing himself to the ground, which doesn't help. It doesn't matter. He's pulling his shirt. Like if your shirt's getting pulled, that's a foul. You're not allowed to pull people's shirts. It's not allowed. It's literally not allowed. So like, doesn't matter if you fall do a backflip. Doesn't matter. Legitimately do cartwheels if he likes. He's still getting his shirt pulled.
Yeah.
Like that's still a foul. So I couldn't understand it. Totally agree. They should be mic'd up. Also, for the TMOs in rugby, I think football is terrified to let the world see what goes on the field. But with the TMOs, you often can't hear the replies from the from the player that they're speaking to. You often can't hear the replies that well. You hear them say like, "Can I just say something?" And then before you can't often hear the replies from the players, the captains. You just hear that they've got it really sort of done really well, where you generally just hear the ref mainly. But yeah, cricket's done it for years. Like, it's just it's so cloak and dagger, and it does open up that question of the top 6 and the big 6 getting decisions, especially at home.
I don't completely agree with the top 6 because if you look at like Brighton at the weekend, for example, Diaz got proper absolute poleaxe by keeper Sanchez. Proper taken out. That's a red card all day.
But they scored.
I know, but that's still a red. So I don't always buy into the top 6, but I do believe that home versus away advantage is massive with referees. Because referees still have emotion at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point of VAR. I thought they're supposed to be sat in some tin shed, some Shetland Islands somewhere where they're not affected by anyone, where no one's going to be able to influence them.
But there are still preconceived notions of who should win games and who shouldn't win games. So therefore,
but then
is that not a sort of,
because you look at, I know we're using rugby and cricket a lot because we watch all sorts multiple sports, and I love watching rugby and cricket, so I think we're quite knowledgeable on them too. And they don't give decisions based on who's in bat, or they don't give decisions based on who's.
And that is because
in rugby, because the referees will just make a decision on what is the laws, because what is the laws and who's right, who's wrong. That's it.
Yeah, and that is because you can hear them go through the process. There's accountability. There's no accountability within referees currently. Another thing I'd say is a point that somebody I saw someone, I think it was Jimmy on Twitter, mentioned it. Do we not just need to go and get referees from the continent? So, and I never thought about this before. So, in any business, anything outside of football, and even in football, the best quality, if you pay for the best quality, if you can't recruit somebody who's good enough to do whatever you want to do in your business, you go find somebody from somewhere else you can recruit them from. Same as in football. If there's nobody,
Are you pitching for work, Yanis?
no.
Yanis works in recruitment, by the way.
No, what I'm saying is, if there's no good centre midfielders in Newcastle, we go and buy one from Brazil.
Do you need a member of staff? Call this number now.
So, but it's true. If you can't find a manager good enough in the Premier League, or from Britain, they go and essentially pay for better managers from abroad. We do that with we do it with managers, we do it with directors of football, we do it with coaches, physios.
Yeah.
Everything now is you just get the best. So why can't the Premier League do the same thing? It's a massive, massive, multi-billion-pound industry. Why has it got decision makers that are so inadequate? Why can't we just have somebody, some top Venezuelan referee or some top German referee? Why can't we? Because just pay them more than they're getting paid in wherever they are, then they'll come and work here. So I never really thought of that until I saw that comment. I thought, why don't we do that? Because at the minute, it is just that is the worst. That is even somehow worse than the Edison one on Fraser, which was worse than the Trent one on Fraser. Which was worse when Mike Dean not blown up for 2 head injuries. They've got a category which was
worse than Mike Dean giving a free kick against Target when that kid nearly snapped his.
Or worse than worse than Madison when he got a pen. As if Madison got a pen for Lascelles from him jumping over Lascelles' leg, and Murphy didn't get a pen for that. I mean, the mind boggles. But anyway, I guess we've got to finish it off. What about
first of all, Havertz's header, he should have scored there.
Yeah. That was the only chance I had, though, by the way, at that point.
You only had 2 shots on target. Dubravka didn't have to move for that. Lukaku came on, didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And then Havertz, look, his first touch, unreal.
It's outrageous, so good.
Who put the ball over? Jorginho put the ball over.
Yeah.
He's took a touch and then finished. And when I first watched it, I wasn't sure if it bounced and he hit it on like a half volley or whatever, but when you saw the replay, you realised that first touch was great.
Yeah, it's Burkamp, innit?
Yeah, really good. Killed the ball dead and took control of it and put it straight past Dubravka.
The thing I said actually when he scored was like, what a goal. Like, generally, I'm usually furious at our defence, or I'm screaming. I'm like, what a goal that is.
My reactions was, what a touch, what a goal. Shoot me on the football. Yeah. So I was like, that's incredible. Then the raw Newcastle pushing him shouldn't be on the pitch, you elbow big Dan Burn. But then worst of all, Dan Burn, I think he almost blamed himself for losing his man for half a yard. So you could
pressure the ball as well, fill up the pitch and stuff. It's
just great with Dan Burn, seeing how much passion he has for the club. You can see the devastation in his
face. I think there's no real blame for that. He's not even a bad position. It's just an exquisite pass that takes him out of the game, and then an outrageously good. I mean, it's from a Chelsea point of view, it's an unbelievably good goal.
Yeah, that's great for them. So I want to give out a shout to Longstaff and Bruno.
Yeah,
they put an absolute shift in the centre. Bruno's still getting used to the Prem. Longstaff hasn't really had much gameplay. But he came in and didn't really do much wrong. I know he didn't have much possession overall in the whole game, but he worked his absolute butt off in that game.
He was shaky at first. A couple of passes were a bit long early doors, but after that he actually settled in really well. I think Longstaff's an alright player, to be honest. He just got some hard time for Newcastle fans,
he's going to be a fringe player at best, isn't he? The odd 10 minutes.
But if Eddie Howe can improve him, and one thing he did get blown away by. Wasn't even somebody with much pace really, and it was when Bruno brought him down late on in the game before they'd scored. It might have been Havertz, which Havertz isn't particularly quick, and I was like, that is Longstaff's major issue.
We've said this before. When the major faults with Bruce was he'd put Longstaff and Shelby in the middle when we were playing a 5-4-1, and then we had no legs in midfield. We said the midfield was non-existent.
Yeah, but Bruno, he's going to be a star, isn't he?
He's going to be absolutely
It's still terrifying watching though, take the ball in his own box and be like, I'll just have it and I'm just like, get red.
Couple of points. Rudiger.
He's a madman, isn't he? He's an absolute madman.
So he's coming out of contract, and I know there's been some whispers whether it's just Newcastle's going to get linked with we got linked with 1,000 players over January, so we'll probably get linked with 10,000 over summer. He's one of the early runners because he runs out of contract. Would you have him at Newcastle? Lots of people have said no because of like how much he shouted at Miggy and X, Y, and Z. Like that's one of the reasons why I almost would have him, because he does that stuff on the pitch. Like he limited the chances that we have, but also he is really awful to play against, and that's almost the type of player you want in your side. So I'd have him for the type of player.
Yeah.
It's just the wages that he would command.
Well, he's going to absolutely blow the current model out of. He's going to be worth
what, $250 a week?
More than that. I think he wants like $300 a week, doesn't he? I think
if he's on a free transfer, that's what you can do now. These top players. You can say, look, you're not going to spend £50 million on a defender or whatever the number is. So that's £50 million you're saving. So there's an extra $100,000 a week you can spend on wages.
I get that.
So I'm on 150 now. I want 250 plus you're not a top club, 300 or whatever the numbers are.
I get that, and I do. I think he is right up there, like at the minute, especially in the three.
Because he can carry the ball out. He
really
scores
well.
goals as well.
He scores goals. He is a. So he's running out of his contract, and I think he's kind of what has been sort of said in the press is that he's made it like he doesn't have to stay at Chelsea. He'll go where the money is, basically. Mm-hmm. But he's still playing probably the best he's played, which is probably a good thing in a sense that if a guy doesn't care, just down his tools, but he hasn't down tools. He's probably been.
He's like
alongside Thiago Silva. He's been arguably one of the best players this season, like especially defensively.
He's like a very professional journeyman. He's always just playing for the next contract.
Yeah,
so look, this is why I'm worth £200,000-300,000 a week, because this is what I'll give you.
But it's funny how Lampard never played him as well, which is side note. But
how's Everton doing?
We'll
talk about them next.
But would I have him? I think I would absolutely have him in this because I think he's. You know what I like about him? He's like Jens Lehmann. He'll run like the whole length of the pitch to shout at somebody for a foul at somebody that didn't even happen. Do you know what I mean? Like, Jens Lehmann used to be running out his net for like shouting at anyone.
He could snap someone into the sponsor board. Rudy could be like, no, and like runs out.
I think he's just he's like a team kind of guy, but you see him running like when he started running his legs. Yeah. He's just a bit of a nut job, isn't he?
He must have been watching like John Cleese or something.
He's got a bit of that about him. But I think it's the wage structure for me. If you take him out, regardless of whether you're saving 50 million transfer, let's forget about that. If you're paying him that much money, then how much money are you going to pay Trippier then? Trippier's on modest wages considering he was in team of the season for La Liga and won the Liga last season.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure Trippier's joined on 100 and Bruno's on 120, and they overtook Joe Linton, who was the highest paid player, on 82, was it?
Oh, I thought it was 90 because I think Shelby was 80, isn't he?
I thought they were like a couple.
Or maybe
either way, like
much emotion. There's not much in that.
I'm sure to people like you and me, an extra $10,000 a week, not that much, but
yeah, not in our game. But yeah, so what does the next person demand? Especially the next person coming in. So that's, although I think he would potentially be that kind of mercenary, I do think he'd still perform like absolutely class because I think he's a really good player. But it's what happens to the rest of this. What happens to people that then get pushed your way from agents, selling the next player to you and stuff. Like,
so you don't want to be landing with someone like a Pogba where
we have all the talent but just don't bother with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're always going to have those kind of players because like that's we're going to be, well, maybe not, but you're going to be in the market. It took Man City quite a long time to start developing, to start nailing every transfer, like every time or most of the times that they do. They've signed a lot of shite for a lot of seasons, Man City.
And then some recently looking and say, look, let's just enjoy we're Newcastle fans, we've gone through like 15 years of utter BS.
Absolutely,
somebody else wants to spend $300,000 a week on something that's not going to affect your income or mine, like, who's going to make us defend better, like, crack on.
Yeah. Can you imagine a centre-half pairing of Rudiger and Big Dan Burn?
Lascelles running about picking up.
Lascelles in the middle of Big Dan Burn and Rudiger, Jesus Christ. But I personally wouldn't. Personally.
I can see where you're coming from. And one of our mates, Dan, not Big Dan.
Not Big Dan. Little Dan.
Little Dan Muckle, not little, but our mate Dan Muckle runs the main event pod. He said he'd rather take Christensen.
Yeah, because he's younger.
This convo on Twitter.
Yeah, he's younger. He's I don't know. He's not a better player. Christensen.
Yeah, he doesn't come with the goals, does he? Everton away.
Massive.
But I think it's
bigger for Everton. Yeah,
it's bigger for Everton than it is for us right now.
Where the next winnable game on paper that they play pretty much towards the end of the season, because they've got like an absolutely honking run of fixtures.
Yeah. What predictions for Everton Newcastle? Drop in the comments below. What do you think the score is going to be? What do you hope from the game, and what's the formation we were playing against Everton?
Well, I think Eddie Howe sneezing in everyone's faces and giving everyone an illness last week has mean that we've rested our player. So the question more is, who comes in midfield? Do you kind of give Bruno another run? He's played 2-2 now. Do you?
I think if everyone's fit, he goes back to the three in the middle.
You think?
Which is the Jojo and Joe.
Yeah.
Jojo, John Joe.
Yeah.
Bruno coming on for last half an hour, 20 minutes, yeah. I think so. What would you do?
I really don't know. I've thought about this quite a while, and every time I think of like Jordan, I'm like, I think Jordan has to play. Absolutely.
So as long as everyone's fit, obviously if there's illnesses and
you might rest
and everything brought under it. No, because we haven't got another game till there's like a 2.5 week break or something.
Yeah.
So I don't think he'll take resting place, because we've not going on taking him on holiday on a lad's holiday.
Yeah.
They got Benners or something, I think.
I do like the Tyndall photos when he's like, and also there was one. Who's the coach that was hanging that came after Bruce? Went with England, man. Literally coached Brighton. They took us over Brighton.
I know.
Right, that's gonna kill me. That
I know the picture I'm as well.
He's like sliders.
How we both forgot his name? He manages for 2 games.
Oh my word!
Right, let's move on. It'll come back to us.
But yeah, it was in his sliders. As if they were going on a lad's holiday. But I don't know. I know we've not got a game for like 15 days or 16 days. So I think that I would go with. I think I'd stick with Bruno. You know,
Graham Jones,
man, Christ. Yeah, I do like that foot when he's in his like sliders where he's just like off the banners. But I think I'd stick with Bruno.
Would you?
I think so. Yeah.
So back four.
Back four. Yeah, back four.
So you got Manquillo, you got
Manquillo,
Shaw, Big Dan Burn, and Target.
Yeah.
Mid 3. You got Shelby in the...
If everyone's fit and firing 100%, I'm going Shelby deeper. Joe Linton and Bruno. I can't jump Willock. I've been pining for Willock to stay on the side for so long. I think because I do think it gives you more versatility in that, because Bruno can play that attacking role and he can maybe he hasn't quite got the energy and the legs and the pace of Willock, but he's good on the ball. He can get forward. He can see a pass, but also if you need to, he can drop it into a deeper role if need be. If you need a goal, you can bring Willock on. I don't know stuff that like. What would you do?
I would revert to.
Would you?
To Jojo and John Joe, yeah, and I think Bruno's probably the better of the 4 of them. But what Eddie said, like if you've got a winning side, why change it? I think he changed it because of fitness. He changed it because of health or whatever. So you got to go back to the winning combo.
Yeah,
bring Bruno on for the last half an hour, and
Fraser back in.
Yeah, Fraser back
for
in.
For who though?
For who?
For who? Yeah.
Over Mickey.
Mickey's obviously dropping out.
But what are you thinking?
Well, who are you gonna play, Murphy or
Murphy?
ASM. You playing Murphy?
Yeah.
You dropping ASM?
Yeah. Hang on. Let me just refresh this next part of the pod here.
Can you pause this?
No, you can talk. This is exclusive for the YouTuber while we get the next bit lined up.
Why? Can you do it now? Can you?
Yeah, I've done it now. So Yeah, I would be bringing in ASM. Sorry, no, I would be bringing in Fraser over
Miggy.
I would keep Murphy as well, and I think this is probably the one thing which you and me have never over the last where we kind of taught one of us out of it. I would keep Murphy up top, and I'd keep ASM for the impact sub for the last 30, 20 minutes, depending on what the score is happening, what's going on. I think we've pressed better than we've ever pressed before in the last 2 or 3 games now. Maximum's been injured.
The press was class against Chelsea. It really was, by the way.
I was almost frightened we were pressing so high.
Yeah, but we won the. We funneled them. We funneled Chelsea into playing either down the line where they didn't want to play it, or playing it into Havertz. But because we played 3 at the back, a centre half would go with them.
Yeah,
or Werner centre half would go with them, and we really got touch tight and we gobbled everything up in there for the first half at least. So is that press as good without without Murphy and with ASM instead? Probably not.
So what are you doing then?
Still playing ASM.
Fair enough, but I don't think the press is going to work.
He doesn't have to press, man. He'll run round everyone. Score on his own. Nah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think I'm sticking with.
No one's watching right now for you to say I don't know. You have to pick a starting 11.
I think I'm gonna go with
Murphy or ASM.
ASM, but if I'm playing ASM, I'm going back Willock.
Okay, fair enough. And then up top, you playing Wood or you playing Wood?
I'm playing Chris rather than Mark.
Yeah. Prediction. Everton are going through an absolute shit time right now. Lampard has only just admitted that they're in a relegation battle. We joked about this in our...
Donny van de Beek was patting his bag straight back to Man United.
But Frank Lampard's only just admitted this week that they're in a relegation battle, so I don't know if he just hasn't looked at the league table for the last... or when he even signed his contract, but he's like, oh yeah, we're in a relegation battle. Like,
wait a minute, I thought these were top 6.
The rest of the world's new in a relegation battle for the past a few weeks, mate. Like, what table have you been looking at? Or not looking at?
Gotta be Newcastle win. But one thing I would say is they are better at Goodison, way better. They're absolutely shit away from home, but they're actually. If Everton, they've ever got an awful run, but if they're going to survive, it's Goodison.
Mm-hmm. This is a must-win for Everton. If Newcastle come away with a draw, I'm happy. But I would love to see. Obviously, I'd love to see you win. But yeah, I'm predicting maybe like a 1-1.
I think we can win, and I think it's because they're defensively so bad. They've just got lost John Joe Kenny, who's already awful, and he's going to be banned for this one. So I don't know who they're bringing in instead of John Joe Kenny. Dina? Oh no! Oh, that's right, Agent Rafa sold Agent Rafa sold Dina.
Yeah. Maybe they're bringing Target back on air. We call him on loan, but no.
No, he plays for. You got him from Villa. Matt Target. We're not giving Matt Target to Everton for the game.
Maybe they've got someone in the contract where they thought he could loop round.
Yeah. You have to play every time we play somebody. We want Matt Target.
Yeah.
But he's a Newcastle player. I think.
Did you not see that feed on Twitter where they will play some players which never exist, was never actually going to come back?
No.
Okay, that joke was wasted. It's okay.
So I think then Yerry Mina, he's made of glass, and Mike Keane's awful, and Seamus Scholes, Coleman's awful, and Pickford is always shade against Newcastle. So 4-0.
Yeah,
Everton win.
I tell you, if we get up to 50 subscribers by Thursday, we'll do a watch along. So subscribe, and then a couple of few points. Eddie, manager of the month.
Yeah, deserved really.
Yeah, that was great to see him get it. Did you see that picture went viral of when he got manager of the month and he had all his team behind him, and Bruce got it and was like, just him.
And Rafa got it. And Rafa got it as well. I think it was Rafa.
Yeah, Rafa got it at some point.
Rafa, and he had his team behind him as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Bruce was just still there. Yeah. I deserve though. I think the only really contender was Liverpool, but they should win all of their games. So
that's it. Yeah, I suppose when you play at that high standard, if you don't pick up every game isn't a win, then it's a letdown. And then lastly, I just want to shout out the an absolute scumbag on Twitter who's
Yeah.
scamming Newcastle fans for money. There's a few people. He actually messaged us directly as well. So if you're listening, fuck you. But there's a few people fell for it as well and paid like 70 quid. I know 3 people who've paid 70 quid for two Everton away tickets. So if you're ever buying tickets online, make sure you're getting the source. And like if you have to do like a live video to see someone holding the tickets, whatever it is, just do a little bit of digging because
we nearly did, didn't we?
Yeah, we ummed an hour about it, but then when he messaged us like for the 3rd or 4th time asking if I was ready to buy them, and we were like umming an hour, and could we make it work with like family and work and stuff. So yeah, please make sure you're doing a little bit of digging first before you send some random strangers some money over Twitter. I think they're preying on Newcastle fans because that we're the best in the world and that will follow the club home and away. But yeah, apart from that, thank you for downloading, thank you for subscribing. Jan, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
Make sure you subscribe, share, like the video, and thank you very much. And we'll catch you next week on the channel, also on the pod.